how does this happen though? Because this Dolphins defense is already terrible. They're down their best pass rusher in Chops Robinson. They traded their other good pass rusher in Jalen Phillips. They still have Bradley Chubb, who's been a shell of himself since coming over in the trade from Denver. Their best cornerback this season was Rasul Douglas, who was a street free agent in September. And, they've lost Kader Kohu. They've lost Storm Duck. They didn't have Rasul Douglas this week. This team was a patchwork unit of practice squad level players with a few guys you've heard of mixed in that are on the back end of their careers, Mika Fitzpatrick and Bradley Chubb most notably. And they shut the Bills out through the first 30 minutes of this game. And in the fourth quarter, when the Bills were down by multiple scores, the Dolphins outscored the Bills 14-13. So there's only a couple ways to explain it. One, the Bills weren't prepared and didn't take it seriously. Two, the Dolphins are just better than the Bills, and we just didn't see it coming. Now, you could say we have 2 games worth of data now that shows us that barring a really bad running into the punter penalty on Miami in the first game, maybe the Dolphins sweep the series this season. That was a Thursday night game. Luke and I talk about all the time. Don't worry about the how in the Thursday night games. Just get through them because those things are wild rides. Ask the Broncos about the Raiders this past week. Just survive in advance. So I don't know which one is the right answer, but neither one is acceptable. And you had a Bills wide receiver group that didn't get anybody added to it during the week of the trade deadline. And we'll get to that because there was some more juice to that story today. A Bills wide receiver group that didn't have anybody added to it, but you still had the second round pick, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, who got a fat contract extension this offseason, the multi-million-dollar man, Curtis Samuel, and the guy that Brandon Beane signed right after his WGR rant, Elijah Moore, out there. And they couldn't get open against practice squad level corners on the Miami Dolphins. So whatever the truth is, whether the Bills aren't as good as we thought, or they took the Dolphins lightly and just didn't show up, that's where my hunch is. I don't think this is a juggernaut Bills passing offense. I do think this is a Bills team that sleptwalked through the game. And Deion Dawkins said as much in his post-game press conference, saying the Dolphins played harder than us. And that just elicits a certain response out of me. Like, who the hell are you, Bills? Did I miss you winning a Super Bowl or two in these last 5 years? If the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles go down to Miami and sleepwalk through a game, you can understand why they're a little bored. The Buffalo Bills haven't won anything. They've won this division. Now they're behind in this division. Coming into today, they're behind in this division. But they know as well as anybody how important regular season games are when it comes to seeding. And to go down to Miami in a game that, whether you take the opponent seriously or not, given the fact that it's a conference opponent and a division opponent, means as much as any game you will play this entire season, and to give away what should have been a layup of a victory is inexcusable. And Luke, I said as much on Twitter that I don't know how this team's going to respond. I really don't. But I do know that how they respond is absolutely going to be a moment in time that we all remember of the Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane era. Because whatever happens right after this game for the rest of this season is going to be how we remember this season and potentially this era, because this is the kind of loss that can get something going in a direction where everything changes this offseason.
I love your point on you don't know how the response is coming, what it's going to look like, because after seeing what we just saw there, I fully track exactly what you're saying. I'm with you in that sentiment. I don't know. It's the first time in a long time, and I'm trying to look up something right now while I'm talking, and I do apologize, but I brought up, Chiefs game mindset going into it. Now, following that mindset going into this Dolphins game and the business trip, and handle it professionally. And you talk about it. I talked about it, where it's probably the theme of this game. You you need to still be professional in these efforts. You still need to take this seriously. You are playing this team in a game that it's like you just need to do something. And I'll add on it too, where it's a divisional game where you just laid an absolute egg, and on the bounce, you're gonna now have to come home in this instance and play a Buccaneers team that is also coming off a bad loss, and they need to correct ship to make sure everything's going right on their season following a loss out of the bye, which is not a thing teams generally do, especially good ones. And they've lost to those Patriots that we talk about. It has the vibe ish, Josh, of that 2021 dog shit Monday night game that they lost to the Patriots, where they just realized that Josh Allen could still throw and have you win late, too late. And then they had to go to Tampa and win a game. And we saw that performance and came up just short, but that was a turning point. You need this performance next week against Tampa to have that same style of impact when it comes to a turning point on the season. Because at that point in time in the 2021 season, if you recall, the Bills were up and down. That's also that same season with that Jags game you referred to and opening up the pod. It's just Jags lost, Jets win, Colts dominating win over the Bills. At New Orleans, you get a good win. You lose that Monday night game to the Patriots, and it all feels hopeless. And you're 7-5 at that point. It's like, what the F is going on? You go to Tampa, you lay an absolute dog shit egg in the first half, but something happened in that second half. We see what happens. You need that kind of thing and hopefully get the result in the end this time around against Tampa once again coming up, because it's just another one of these things where you just don't know what you're going to get from this team. And you don't know what you can take seriously, if you can take them seriously. I don't like hearing that Deion Dawkins even acknowledged that the Dolphins played harder. It's like, I don't care if these bums, these practice squad bums played harder. You should still be better than them. You should still be putting in an effort. And it's embarrassing to hear that you even recognize you didn't give it your best effort, as you said, in a very important divisional game. It's the most important version of a game you can have in a regular season, because you need to take these home to ultimately get to the place you want to, which is winning your division, hosting a playoff game, and giving yourself a better chance to make that postseason run to get to where the ultimate goal is in winning a championship.